In the twists and turns of life, we sometimes feel lost, as if the trials pile up without end. These moments of doubt and loneliness can make us believe that we have been abandoned, that our Creator has turned his back on us. However, these feelings are only illusions, tests intended to purify our soul and strengthen our faith. In this video, we will explore together the signs which reveal that far from being abandoned, Allah is always present, waiting for our return to Him. We will discover how to recognize His mercy in dark times, and how through patience and perseverance, we can find the light. Prepare for a profound spiritual journey, where each step will bring you closer to your Creator and help you understand the true meaning of the trials you are going through. 1. Divine silence is never a rejection. There are moments when life seems to crumble beneath our feet, moments when each step becomes heavier, each breath more difficult. These moments when the soul wavers. If you've ever felt this weight, know that you are not alone. Before you, others have gone through this dark night. Among them, a man with a pure heart, a man of infinite patience, Prophet Ayub. Job, peace be upon him. His story is not that of a simple ordeal, but that of a real hurricane which fell on him, destroying everything he owned. Ayub was a blessed man. He had land, countless herds, a loving family, and perfect health. He was filled with the blessings of Allah. Then, the winds of trial stood up. It all started slowly. One day he lost his flocks. The next day his lands were ravaged. One by one, her children were taken from her. And as if that wasn't enough, he fell seriously ill. An illness that left him weakened, rejected by his family, isolated in pain and silence. He had nothing left except his faith. Imagine for a moment what that means. Losing everything you love, everything you've built, and being alone, with no one to reach out to you. He could have given in to despair. He could have said to himself, "Why me? Why has Allah abandoned me?" But Ayub never uttered these words. Not once did he complain. He turned towards the only one who had always listened to him. He raised his hands to heaven and said with humility, "Evil has touched me, but you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surat Al-Anbiya 21:83. No charges, no anger, only one invocation full of love and trust. Ayub knew that Allah's silence was not a rejection. He was a proof of love, an invitation to get even closer to Him. And you, when the ordeal knocks on your door, how do you react? When prayers seem unanswered, do you feel that feeling of abandonment? Do you think Allah has forgotten you? And if this silence was not a rejection, but an opportunity, maybe He expects you a sincere return, a profound return, not mechanically recited words, but a call from the depths of your heart, a prayer as authentic as that of Ayub. Narrator, more intense tone. In these times of trial, you have two choices. Let yourself be carried away by despair, or stand up straight like Ayub and whisper in the privacy of the night, "Ya Allah, I know you are there. I know that you have not abandoned me." Remember that silence is never a rejection. Allah's answers may not come immediately, but they always come at the right time. Perfect when your heart is ready to receive them. A ray of light. And one day, Ayub's ordeal ended. Allah gave him back everything he had lost, multiplying his blessings. But the greatest reward was not material. It was this unshakable faith that he had preserved. Once purified by the test, an unshakable faith like a rock facing the waves. And you, are you ready to transform the ordeal into a spiritual rebirth? 2. Trials are tests, not punishments. There are days when everything seems to be falling apart. You move forward, but each step becomes a struggle. Loss, betrayal, loneliness. Blows that break you little by little, leaving you empty. You search for meaning in this pain, but it remains silent. Then, a thought arises. Am I being punished? Does Allah reject me? But this thought, as heavy as it is an illusion. Trials are not punishments. They are tests of the veiled messages may Allah place on your path to help you evolve, grow, and purify yourself. The test, a disguised message. Imagine a child at school. It moves from one class to another, but each transition requires a test. The test is not intended to make him fail or humiliate him. It is a way to evaluate your progress, to reveal what he has learned, and to help him take a new step. Your life is the same. Every pain, every trial, is examination of the soul, not to put you down, but to reveal to you, to make one come out of you stronger, more resilient, brighter version. Allah clearly reminds us in the Qur'an, "Did you think you would enter paradise without having undergone trials similar to those experienced by those who preceded you?" Surat al-Baqarah, 2014. The prophets, the righteous and the pious before us have all passed through storms. Their faith was tested again and again, and yet they never gave up. The different faces of the tests come in many forms. Sometimes they touch your heart. A loss, a separation, a disappointment. They shatter what you thought was eternal, forcing you to redefine your priorities. Sometimes they touch your body, an illness, a weakness, an exhaustion, to remind you that you are only a fragile being, dependent on the breath of your Lord. And sometimes they touch your soul. Doubts, a spiritual crisis, an invitation to reevaluate your relationship with Allah. But each ordeal carries a unique message. It's up to you to discover what she's trying to teach you. An opportunity for purification. When you lose something in this life, it feels like a void. But in reality, Allah is relieve yourself of what weighs you down, of what prevents your soul from growing. Each pain has a hidden function. Purifier. Cleanse your heart of its attachments. Remember what is essential. This is why sometimes what you lose is not a loss, but a reconfiguration of your life. Maybe Allah snatches something for you, prepare for better. So, how will you perceive this ordeal? Like a prison that locks you in despair, or as a springboard towards new version of yourself? Maybe Allah wants to rid you of this fragile version to elevate you, to make you reach a level that you couldn't even imagine. Trials are not there to destroy you. They are there to transform, to reveal yourself to yourself, so that your soul is reborn purer, stronger. So, rather than asking, "Why me?" instead ask yourself, what message is Allah trying to convey to me? 3. Signs that you feel abandoned. There are moments when your heart closes, when the light that inhabited you seems to go out little by little. You move forward, but each step feels heavier. You ask yourself, where is Allah? Why do I no longer feel His presence? If you've ever felt this way, then you know the signs. These silent but powerful signs which reveal an inner pain. 1. Loss of motivation to pray and invoke Allah. You may remember those days when every prayer was a source of comfort. Every word you uttered in your invocations was a direct link with Allah. But today, you no longer have the strength. Raise hands to invoke seems useless to you. The words get stuck in your throat. Your prayer has become an automatism, a habit devoid of life. Or worse, you have abandoned it. For what? Because your heart is tired. Because you think that Allah don't listen to you anymore. But let me tell you something. Even when you're in this state, He always waits for you. This emptiness you feel is not the absence of Allah. It's a silent call, a reminder that it is time to return to Him. 2. feeling of being constantly overwhelmed by problems. The whole world seems to weigh on your shoulders. Every day, new challenges appear. Just when you think things are going to get better, another problem arises. The bills are piling up, relationships break down, opportunities are fading away, and you find yourself overwhelmed, unable to breathe. Every problem becomes an insurmountable mountain. You have the impression of drown you, and the idea that Allah has abandoned you slowly settles in your mind. But if you think about it, maybe these waves of problems aren't here to destroy you. Maybe they are there to refine yourself, to strengthen. Allah tells us, certainly, after difficulty comes ease. Surah Ash-Shar 94:6. What if this ease was not far away? 3. Isolation and loss of meaning in life. You withdraw into yourself. Friends move away. You don't want to talk to anyone anymore. Even activities that previously made you smile seem empty and uninteresting. You wander through life without direction, without purpose. Every morning, you get up out of habit, but you no longer know why. The outside world becomes a distant shadow. You lock yourself in your pain, convinced that no one can understand you. But this feeling of loss, as intense as it is not a rejection. It's a symptom of a heart seeking healing, a heart that desperately seeks reconnect with your Creator to find this lost link. A light in the middle of the darkness. These signs can break you if you let them take over you. But remember, they are not evidence of abandonment, but temporary symptoms of a spiritual journey in transition. How you feel is not the end of your story. It is the start of a healing journey. Loss of motivation, exhaustion, isolation. All of this is an invitation to return to the one who never left you. Narrator, firmer tone. The question is not whether Allah has turned his back on you. The real question is, will you respond to this invitation? Are you going to get up? Take a moment to recognize these signs in yourself, and rather than beating yourself up about them, accept them. They are their proof that your heart is still alive, still able to seek Allah and find Him. 3. Signs that you feel abandoned. There are days when you feel profoundly tired, not that of the body, but a weariness of the soul, as if the world had lost its colors. Nothing seems to touch you anymore, and you ask yourself, has Allah forgotten me? It is at this moment that subtle but powerful signs appear, signals that something inside you is struggling, looking for a way out, a meaning. 1. Loss of motivation to pray and invoke Allah. Do you remember those days when prayer was a refuge? Each prostration seemed to you a place of peace, an intimate conversation with your Creator. But today, words fail you. Prayers become mechanical, even absent. To postpone each salat, promising to catch up with her later. But later becomes never. The Qur'an remains closed on the shelf. Your heart fills with silence, and this silence becomes unbearable. You say to yourself, what's the point? But even in those moments of emptiness, Allah never stopped being there. He waits for your return patiently, without ever closing the door. 2. Feeling of being constantly overwhelmed by problems. The days follow one another and are similar, and the challenges pile up. The responsibilities become overwhelming. Solutions seem out of reach. Each problem leads to another, forming an endless chain. You have the impression of drown you, unable to catch your breath. You look around and say to yourself, why me? Why always me? But know that these waves are not there to swallow you up. They are there for refine you, shape you, prepare yourself to become a stronger person. It is a step, not a destination. Remember these words from the Qur'an. Certainly after difficulty comes ease. Surah Ash-Shar 94:6. Ease is near, closer than you think. 3. isolation, and loss of meaning in life. Then there is this moment when you disconnected from the world. Friends move away. You no longer want to respond to messages. The discussions seem empty to you. In the morning, you get up. But for what? Every day becomes a long tunnel with no light at the end. You lock yourself in your solitude, convinced that no one can understand what you feel. Even Allah seems distant to you. But this Veed, as painful as it is not an absence. It is a call, a signal that your soul seeks a path to healing, a path that begins with the recognition of this feeling. These signs are not proof of rejection. Narrator, softer, comforting voice. These feelings of emptiness, exhaustion, isolation, these are not proofs that Allah has abandoned you. These are the symptoms of a wounded heart, of a soul in search of reconciliation. All you feel is temporary. These tests are an invitation to return to the one who never left you. So, these signs are there, very real. But the question is, what are you going to do with it? Ignore them and let them lock you in an endless spiral? Or listen to them and start return journey towards the one who loves you more than you can imagine? 4. The false perception of abandonment. Do you know that even the best of men, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, went through a moment of doubt and deep sadness? Yes, him too. There was a period when divine revelation stopped. The days passed, then the weeks, and still nothing. Not a verse, not a word. The silence. The prophet asked, had he done something wrong? Had he lost the favor of his Lord? Had it been abandoned? Then came the light. It was then that Allah, in His infinite mercy, revealed to him words of unparalleled tenderness. By the light of day, and at night when it calms down, your Lord has neither abandoned you nor hated you. Surah Ad-Duha, 93, 1-3. Narrator, voice full of emotion and relief. These words came like a caress to a tormented soul, a divine reminder that silence is never a rejection, but a form of wisdom. Allah never gives up. He never hated His prophet, not even for a moment. And you too, He will never abandon you. Why this silence? Sometimes when things get quiet, our heart panics. We feel like we are lost, walking alone in the darkness. But have you ever thought that this silence could be a growth opportunity? Allah is never far away. He's just patient. He gives you time to reflect, to strengthen yourself, to return to Him in a deeper and more sincere way. This silence is a space for you to recalibrate your heart, relearn how to listen to the beat of your soul. Silence as an act of love. Think of a loving parent watching their child learn to walk. Sometimes he takes a few steps back, not to abandon the child, but to let yourself strengthen, discover your own abilities. It's an act of love, an act of trust. So when you feel this silence, tell yourself that it's not a punishment. It is Allah who offers you an opportunity, that of growing, of going further, of reaching a higher spiritual level. A call to deep faith. Narrator, firm but caring voice. So when you feel like you are alone, remember these words from the Qur'an. Your Lord has neither abandoned you nor hated you. These words are not there to simply reassure you. They are there to wake you up, to remind you that you have never been alone, not for a single second. The silence of Allah is never empty. It's a promise, a transition towards something greater, if you have the patience to wait. 5. How to recognize mercy in times of trial. Practical advice for regaining hope and confidence, encouraging and pragmatic tone. Narrator, warm and reassuring voice. When the darkness of the trial envelops you, it is natural to feel lost, to wonder why these difficulties strike you. However, each test is a disguised opportunity, a chance offered by Allah to bring you closer to Him and strengthen your faith. Here's how to discern the divine mercy at the very heart of adversity. 1. Observe the blessings you still have. Even in the midst of the most violent storms, glimmers of hope remain. Take a moment to take inventory of the blessings present in your life. Health. If you can breathe, walk, see, hear, these are priceless treasures. Relationships. Family, friends, those who give you support and love. Resources. A roof over your head, food on your table. By recognizing these blessings, you realize that despite the trial, Allah continues to shower you with His mercy. This awareness transforms your perspective, allowing you to see the ordeal not as a punishment, but as a growth stage. Verse from the Qur'an. If you are grateful, most certainly I will increase my blessings for you. Surah Ibrahim 14-7. 2. Strengthen your prayer and your invocation. The test is a direct invitation to reconnect with your Creator. Intensify your moments of prayer and invocation. Salad. Perform your prayers with increased presence. Feel every word you address to Allah. Du'as. Invoke Him sincerely. Express to Him your sorrows, your hopes, your fears. These actions give you inner peace and remind you that you are never alone. Allah is always listening, ready to answer the call of His servant. Hadith. When Allah loves a servant, He tests him. If he is patient, He raises him in rank. Reported by At-Tirmidhi. 3. Surround yourself with goodness and do good. The ordeal may push you to withdraw into yourself, but this is precisely the moment to open up to others. Virtuous company. Surround yourself with pious people who remind you of Allah and encourage you in good. Charitable actions. Get involved in charitable works. Help those in need. By doing good, you not only alleviate the suffering of others, but you illumines also your own heart, finding meaning and direction in the midst of trial. Verse from the Qur'an. And do good, so that you may succeed. Surat Al-Hajj 22:77. What if this ordeal was in reality a proof of love from Allah, a call to draw you closer to Him? Rather than seeing it as a punishment, see it as an outstretched hand, an opportunity to purify yourself, strengthen yourself, reinvent yourself. Are you ready to accept this ordeal as mercy in disguise and get the best out of it for your soul and your faith? Remember, every trial is a love letter from Allah, a chance to get closer to Him. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it transform you into a stronger, brighter version of yourself. 6. The path to the light. My brother, my sister, it is essential not to confuse the ordeal with abandonment. The challenges you encounter are not signs that Allah has forgotten you. On the contrary, they are opportunities to draw you closer to Him. Allah says in the Qur'an, "And when my servants ask you about me, then I am near. I answer the call of him who calls on me when he calls on me." Surat Al-Baqarah 286. These divine words are a powerful reminder of the nearness of Allah. Even in times when you feel most isolated, He is there, waiting for you to turn to Him. Don't let trials make you doubt His presence. See them as opportunities to strengthen your faith, purify your heart, and draw closer to your Creator. Remember, every difficulty is a step on the path to light. Allah has never abandoned you. He invites you to come back to Him, to rediscover this deep connection. It all starts with one step, a sincere step. So take this step today. Turn to Allah with an open heart. Invoke Him. Entrust Him with your sorrows and your hopes. Renew your faith and move forward with the certainty that He is always at your side. Through this spiritual journey, we have learned that trials are not punishments, but opportunities provided by Allah to purify our hearts and strengthen our faith. We discovered that, even in moments of silence, Allah is always present, waiting for us to return to Him. He is closer to us than we imagine, and every difficulty is an invitation to draw closer to His infinite mercy. Don't let trials keep you from your Creator. Instead, see them as opportunities to grow spiritually and strengthen your connection with Him. Remember that, even in the darkest moments, the light of Allah always shines, ready to guide you towards the path of inner peace and serenity. Embrace trials with patience and confidence, and know that your Creator has never abandoned you. He is waiting for you, ready to welcome you into His infinite mercy.